Hello guys and welcome to our final installment of our top 5 cards in M14. Today we will be looking at the red and green cards, and I will also give you a heads up on what artifacts and lands I think are pretty darn sweet. So as usual, sit back, relax and enjoy. We start off in red, and at number 5 is Shock. Shock is one of the best burn spells printed in Magic's history in my humble opinion, and a card that will see constructive play once Pillar of Flame rotates out. At instant speed and only 1 red mana, Shock brings you great value removal and also is one of the most simple and easy to understand spells in Magic. Has the creature got 2 toughness or less? Yes, it's dead. Done, simple, and that is why I love it. It gets the job done simply and effectively, making it easy to understand for new players and always a must play for veterans in red. In limited, as I always say, any removal is good removal, and at only 1 red mana you cannot go wrong for 2 damage to either player or creature. Shock is value sitting. At number 4 we have a card that is going to be incredible for mono red decks or red deck wins in the standard meta game. Burning Earth is an incredible card. The average mana base in today's metagame makes this card incredible one-sided mana barbs. Of course, decks will change to adapt to Burning Earth eventually, but this plays into mono decks' ideals of disrupting how decks are built and played. It destabilises mana bases so well, and will surely make mono red a force to be reckoned with in standard. In limited, don't play this, ever. You will never get enough value out of this to warrant it taking up a slot in either draft or sealed decks, simply because the mana base it would affect in standard is not there. Our first and last Planeswalker in our top 5 list lies at number 3 in our red cards. Chandra Pyromaster is up there with the best Chandras Wizards has ever made, and although the competition for that spot is not great, this particular Chandra is really cool. Starting out at 4 loyalty for only 4 mana is already a really good starting point, and the +1 ability will often let you put pressure on an opponent's board as soon as Chandra hits the field. Once she starts drawing you extra cards, that is when Chandra gets really good. Yes, you have to use those cards straight away with the 0 cost ability, but drawing cards is something red gets to do very rarely without looting. The ultimate is also really powerful and quick to activate, allowing you to draw into some really nice spells that you can copy to deal incredible amounts of damage across the board. In limited play, Chandra is a first pick for sure if you want to run red in draft, and will be amazing to get in sealed. She promotes offensive play, something all red mages love and something that also fits into a limited playstyle perfectly. She provides a lot of power at a low cost, and so will be an excellent pull in sealed and a first pick in draft for sure. Our number 2 spot goes to Ogre Battle Driver, a creature I think will be a standard all-star as soon as the incredibly pushed Hellrider rotates from the standard environment. The Ogre's ability is really powerful, and although it requires you to play creatures after your 4-drop rather than curving into a big attack on turn 4, this is still certainly a card that will do a lot of damage in mono red and aggro Jund decks, as the aggressive Anthem effect plus haste will be a deadly combination. In limited, this guy is an absolute bomb and should be picked high in draft and will be amazing to slot into a sealed deck with red sources. Drafting this guy early, then moving on to assemble lots of cheap troops, with Striking Sliver and Molten Birth being 2 great examples, will be the way to go with our battle driver here. At number 1 we have a card that a lot of people, including pro players across the globe, are getting incredibly excited about. Young Pyromancer is one of, if not the best red cards printed in recent years. He is an engine and will sit and gain you value just by being on the battlefield, and in that respect reminds me of one of my favourite red cards of all time in Grim Lavamancer, another card that becomes good just by you playing standard normal Magic. The number of archetypes this guy could fit into are vast, with not only standard implications, but also being a card that many pros can see being a scourge of the modern world in a variety of decks, including Storm, in which this guy will be insane. In limited, you don't even need many spells to make him a strong addition to a deck. As I said before, you just play normal Magic and he gains you value. You never have to change your playstyle to fit around him, and so he should be a high pick in draft and a must-have for sealed decks. So with the top 5 cards in red in our M14 set complete, let's move on to see what green has to offer us in the way of some awesome cards. At number 5 we have the repackaged Landmar Elf, Elvish Mystic. Elvish Mystic is going to be a staple in numerous decks and will give plenty of builds another great 1-drop whilst lessening the Shock Clan requirement of Arbor Elf. Mana dorks are always cool in Magic, are an essential part of learning the game for newer players, so it is nice to see this guy in the format. Plus, in older formats, Modern and Legacy Elves now have another 1-drop Mana Dork to throw down alongside Landmore Elves to excel them through the early game. In Limited, this is the best green common by a mile, and it should be fairly high picked in drafts and also should be in every sealed deck running its colours. Mana Dorks are fantastic in Limited as they allow you to accelerate and put you a turn ahead of most opponents. At number 4 we have a card with a whole lot of text. Primeval Bounty. This card really excites me as an EDH player as I can see each of its 3 abilities being relevant at any time, and they are all sweet benefits that if left unopposed by an opponent make it an incredibly resourceful and powerful card for just 6 mana. In Standard this may not get there, but it is the last ability that makes it possible. Getting 3 or more life a turn is a strong upside, especially when playing land is free and is more frequent than either of the other conditions on this card. Saying that, however, getting a free 3/3 for every creature you throw down is also incredibly good, and even if decks running this won't have a lot of spells, putting 3 +1/+1 counters on any creature is no laughing matter. This card has some serious reach. In Limited, I feel this could be a little too expensive to be a very high pick in draft, but should be okay in sealed. If you do survive long enough to cast this thing and untap with it on board, it should be very hard to lose the game, as each of its 3 abilities will easily overwhelm most opponents in a few short turns. At number 3 we have the green colour hoser, Witch Stalker. Witch Stalker is a reasonable threat and should make its way into some standard decks at some point post-rotation. Although it won't easily finish off a blue deck on its own and may not be able to outrace a zombie heavy black deck, Witch Stalker still does work, and makes your opponent's Doomblades and bounce spells less threatening as they make this guy bigger and may force him to play such cards at sorcery speed rather than instant. I could see this guy being part of a Bant Hexproof deck once Geist and Invisible Stalker leave Standard. In Limited, much like the others in this cycle, he is a high pick in draft and will be amazing in sealed for the same reason it will be good in Standard. It slows down blue and black decks as it nukes their counterspells and makes removal much less tricky or effective, maybe even forcing those spells to be casted only on opponents' main phases. A card that is literally oozing with value takes on number 2 spot, Scavenging Ooze. One of my favourite cards in Commander and now one of my favourite cards in Standard, this guy provides incredibly potent disruption at a low cost of just 2 mana. It completely removes the threats posed by most graveyard based decks, and even when not against Reanimator, Scavenging Ooze gets out of hand insanely quickly. Gaining 1 life and getting a +1/+1 counter for just 1 mana is incredible value, and it is this mana efficiency that is going to make it an all-star in all formats for years to come. In Limited, this is a bomb, and there will be no games where this is a dead card, as it always has something to do. At worst, it's a 2/2 bear. At its best, it will get out of hand and become one of the biggest threats on board, and so should be first picked and is a surefire inclusion in sealed. I would suggest one tip, however: do not play this guy on turn 2 in case it gets shocked. It is feel bad when this guy goes to the graveyard. Wait around a few turns, trade some guys, drop him down, exile all the things, and suddenly you have a 5/5 or a 6/6 ready to do damage. Enjoy this guy, folks, he is fantastic. I may be biased after pulling a foil one of these from my recent Fat Pack opening, which you can find on our channel, but this guy is just pure value and will see plenty of standard play for years to come. Colonian Hydra is simply the best Hydra ever printed, and it is our number 1 in M14 green cards. Seriously, not only is this guy an 8/8 trampler when he attacks for just 5 mana, but he synergizes with 2 guilds worth of Ravnica cards in Rakdos and Simic, 2 guilds that are heavily represented in Jund. Imagine pairing this guy on the field with an Xaver or an Experiment 1. It makes everything with counters huge, and so I hope to see a shell built around this guy in the coming months. This card is a standard all-star for sure. In Limited, why do you even have to ask? It may die to Doomblade, but other than that it is pretty much unstoppable and will most likely be the card, if you are indeed lucky enough to have one in draft or sealed, that will win you the game in just a few short turns. Colonian Hydra is a Limited bomb and may be my favourite card in the whole set. To round off the video, I'm going to discuss a few of the artifacts and lands from this set. I'm not going to discuss them in detail, but here are my top 5 favourite other cards of M14. At number 5 we have Door of Destinies. Number 4, an EDH All-Star, Ring of 3 Wishes. Coming in at number 3, the coolest looking card ever, Haunted Plate Mail. Gracing on number 2 spot is Mutavault, Sliver's best friend. And finally, number 1 is going to be the all-star artifact in this set, Ratchet Bomb. If you want to discuss why these are my favourites, how about you discuss it with me in the comments below and get involved. So folks, this is the end. This episode has wrapped up our top 5 M14 video mini-series, and I must say it's been a joy to create, and even more of a joy to see you guys enjoying the content and getting involved. Comment below if you would like us to do more top 5s in the future, and let us know what you thought of M14 as a whole. As always, get involved down below, like to show your support, subscribe and share this video, and most importantly guys, have a fantastic day wherever you are.